we have to start with the Clasico at the legendary Montjuic in Barcelona.
Yeah.
Jules, I'm going to come out and say this. Real Madrid emerges 2-1 winners.
Somehow.
We're going to wax lyrical about Bellingham in a minute.
Yeah.
But I think if you're Barcelona, you leave with your head held high. From the starting 11, you're missing 5 guys who would have started, maybe 6 if you're Sergio Roberto's mom. And you go out and you hit the post.
Twice.
You could have had, you take the lead. You know, Real Madrid equalize on a ridiculous 0.00001 XG worldie from Bellingham. I was really impressed, and I hate to say this, but I think our friend, actually, help me here. Did our friend Carletto, was he out-coached by Xavi?
I thought Xavi's plan worked great. The back three, having Cancelo in that kind of winger role, but also as a wing back at times, because it was clearly sometimes even a back five. It was brilliant for Barcelona for an hour, really, especially Gavi's on Bellingham, almost man-marking, not purely technically per se. But
how does he do this? He's a little so thin 19-year-old. He's an attacking midfielder.
But you know the little flies in the summer, that really is... This is Gavi for you. Imagine if you're Bellingham and you're tall and you're tall, you're strong, but then Gavi's always there in your like, where is it coming from? Like all of that. It was brilliant. With the ball, they moved it well. They got a bit lucky on their goal. So early on, which again, we often say, and it's not just a cliche, but when you score that early, it validates your game plan even more, and you're far more in control and far more in terms of serenity than Madrid, who had to chase the game when they're not playing well. Vinicius is not good. Bellingham was not good for most
Rodrigo was really
Rodrigo
poor.
Was terrible. Even in midfield, they didn't have the control. I thought Gundogan and Gavi really bossed the game for certainly the whole first half.
I'd love to know how many touches Kroos actually had in this game.
Yeah.
Because it looked to me like he was a ghost out there.
Completely. And I agree with you then on Carlos' poor tactical plan, because I thought as soon as he brought on Camavinga, who should have started that game every single day instead of Cruz, then the game started to change when Camavinga came on.
I love giving Carlo the benefit of the doubt,
of course.
I'm biased towards Carlo. And look, his substitution, sending on Camavinga and Joselu and Modric, I mean, if you're Carlo's biggest fan, it's like, look, Carlo changed the game. But they're the obvious substitutions, right? The old guys play one half each. Ferland Mendy gives you nothing going forward, so of course you're chasing the game. You put Camavinga, right?
Yeah.
And Joselu, I mean, you put the big fella in, right, for an aerial threat. So all of this made sense.
Yeah.
I thought it was very fortuitous, the second goal as well. I don't know if Modric touches it or not. I'm assuming he does.
Yeah, but he misses his touch. It's a missed touch.
No, I know, but if he touches it more cleanly, maybe the ball doesn't go to...
never. It's not a goal.
Does it go to Bellingham?
No, it never goes to Bellingham. The first goal, I mean, for all the greatness of Gavi in this game and all the work that he did, it's his clearance that goes straight into the center. I would have rather him hitting the ball straight in front of him into the stands for a throw-in, even maybe a corner, than clearing the ball from where he is. The cross comes from where you are. I'm Gavi. I clear it straight here in the middle of the pitch on the edge of the box where Bellingham takes the ball. There's 2 Real Madrid players. Bellingham takes the ball, turns and scores. I still think Ter Stegen should have done better, by the way. I know the strike is great and he's strong and power, but it's at his height. And he saved the one on Tchouaméni on his right side, which is the strongest side that he has. This one is on his left side, not the strongest side, but he should have done better, I think. And then you're right, the second goal is very, very lucky.
All right, let's talk Bellingham, because I found some numbers online which are pretty ridiculous just about the impact that he has had. So it's 13 goals in 13 appearances for Real Madrid. Only 2 people in history have done that.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know who they are.
Yeah, Cristiano and Di Stefano.
Cristiano Ronaldo, Alfredo Di Stefano. This is Alfredo Di Stefano who would go on to score 308 goals for Real Madrid, and Cristiano Ronaldo would go on and score 450 goals for Real Madrid. This is the company he keeps. 10 goals in 10 games at the start of La Liga. Yeah, it's been done before, right? But it's been done by who? By Romario, by the original Ronaldo, by Robert Lewandowski.
Yeah.
All guys who weren't 20 years old when they did it, and all guys who were center forwards.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems like he has some sort of intangible quality where even when he doesn't play great, I don't think he was great today.
No, at all.
He pops up and wins games for you.
Yeah, he's clutch. And I guess this is...
But there's no such thing as clutch. Clutch is just something construct in the head, but then he keeps defying this logic. And I I cannot understand you, Jude Bellingham. All right, Jules, help me understand this Jude Bellingham phenomenon, because he's playing at a level that is above last year, above the year before.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense for somebody of this age to be so accomplished, to do all the things that he does. I mean, I'm trying to go back, thinking of parallels from history of people in that position. We've seen precocious strikers, whatever, but I don't remember. I mean, I'm sure you'll come up with somebody, but I don't remember a midfielder who dominates games like this at this age.
Well,
or so critical to his team.
Okay, yeah.
And a big team. He doesn't
not
dominate
dominating.
Because, and he certainly
and
didn't
we've said that
dominate
before. We've said that before, and we never ever took anything away from him. But we've said all those key goals that he scored. So obviously the 2 on Saturday, but the winning one against Celta Vigo, the winning one against Getafe, the winning one against Union Berlin in the Champions League. There's been those games, but he was not good in the games before. And we said there's still more to come, I think, for him to boss games, even from his advanced position in midfield, that number 10 position, than he's been doing so far this season. Because the goals are great, 13 in 13, 10 in 10 in the league. But overall, his performances have been good, but nothing special. I just think he's got this incredible maturity already that we knew before at that age, that he's had forever, because even at 16, he was playing for Birmingham like he was 25 already. So that was always there. The ability to be at the right place at the right time is incredible for someone who never played, again, so much in that role, because even at Dortmund, when he had all the freedom in the world that he wanted, he was still number 8, kind of a box-to-box. He had the freedom to go higher up, deeper, everywhere he wanted. But to play in such a structured team in that position and be in the right place at the right time is really something special.
And that's a really key point that you make, because he does not have a free role at Real Madrid.
No.
He's
maybe why he doesn't bust the game so much, maybe.
Possibly. I think were he playing deeper, he would be more involved.
Yeah.
And whatever. This is a choice. I'll be really curious to see how his Madrid career develops going forward. Because if they get the center forward, like a real center forward, and they get like a team where, the pieces actually fit, where does he play? Does he play with Tchouaméni in midfield? I would assume so.
Yeah, you can move it.
Do you just not want to give up on his goal, so you keep him in that role and he turns into something else? We've seen players go from a central midfield position to a 10. We've seen 10s move backwards. The
goals he scored this season are a number 9's goal. So they're carrying Benzema's goals, really. This is the finish that he does. This is not the first one against Barca, because that's a midfielder. Right. We said Tchouaméni tried his luck a bit before and Ter Stegen made a good save. It's a similar shot. But the second one and all the ones that I've mentioned already before are number 9's goal. This is what they do. You follow up from a cross from somewhere. You are there in the 6-yard box. This is the goals that Lewandowski has scored for years and years and years, that David Trezeguet used to score, that people enjoy. This is what the goals he's scoring right now. Does this change when you sign Erling Haaland or Kylian Mbappe? Does this change when you go back to the 4-3-3 formation to suit Vinicius? Because right now this system works for Bellingham, doesn't work for Vinicius at all. And this can't last. You can't have Vinicius like this. The shadow against Braga is fine. But in big games, this is not going to be good for him or for you as a club, as a team. So this might change. And he won't score a goal a game all through the season and in the next 5 years at Real Madrid. No. This is impossible. This is not Cristiano or Di Stefano.
Wow. We didn't think so, but no, you're right.
For all those reasons that we just mentioned.
And does it change when Xabi Alonso, perhaps, or whoever this comes next year, and you get a manager who says, I want to play more of a pressing game?
Yeah, completely.
What are the implications there? I just find it fascinating, because he can do so many things, and he's like a piece of clay, and we really have no idea what direction he's going to develop in. It's just that so far, he has faced every challenge, and he's adapted to it.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, if you're a Real Madrid fan, you need to be really excited about this.
Yeah, and that's what Carlos said in the post-match press conference when he said he's surprising all of us, he's surprising me. We're all surprised. I think even Jude must be surprised, really. Not again, he's a very confident kid, but he would have never thought that comes, October 30th, is that where we are today? He would have those goals, those records, those wins, etc. like this. Impossible.
I want to talk about Vini's performance. You touched upon. Yeah, he didn't have a great game. What struck me, though, when he came off, he got a lot of stick. It looked like he was kind of trolling the crowd at the Montjuic.
Yeah.
And I'm often hesitant to say this about when he gets into it with the crowd, because obviously he's been the victim of racist abuse in the past. There's an incident which I think could be getting investigated this game. But let's be clear, when he was walking off the pitch, as far as we know, this was not in reaction to that.
No, I think just they booed him through the game every time he touched the ball.
You could see Carlo at one point.
Carlo had to drag it,
It's just like, get off. Because he doesn't need for Vini to get booked again. He doesn't need...
Yeah.
I don't like that behavior. I think it's... I can deal with it when it's in response to an incident. I haven't been racially abused in the way Vinicius Jr. has. So I am not going to pass judgment on how somebody reacts in that way. But here, it just really came across as like the occasion gets him. And maybe you can understand it to some degree if you've had a great game and whatever, but he didn't have a great game.
No, a very frustrating afternoon for him. Yeah, you're right. I don't know. At the time when he's coming off, I think they're still losing 1-0.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I was a bit surprised because you're right. He doesn't usually, until he was provoked, unless he was provoked and unless it was a reaction to something, he doesn't usually, he's not trolling people. He's not. We're going to talk about Julien later, and you're not happy with what Mbappe did on Sunday, which I can understand in a way, although I will defend him. For Vini, I don't know. It was strange. And I understand the frustration maybe because the afternoon was tough. There was that rugby tackle from Ferran who got booked on him right on the touchline, which, this is not football really. And clearly Barca had almost an anti-Vini plan because the back three is also to make sure that he doesn't do anything. You always had one or two players. You had Araujo and then Inigo or Christensen come in and covering all the time. So it could have been easy for him. I'm not sure if that's enough to justify in a way the kind of trolling and you clap them and you because they booed you.
I want to talk about, we talk about Real Madrid's performance, and I'm trying to wonder, what can Carlo do? All right. There's a transfer window in January. Maybe somebody comes in, maybe they don't. But what can he do? So far, every indication is that they don't have plans to bring anybody else in January. What can he do right now? What does he have to do? Because you want to get Vini, I think, in a situation where you say, look, this year, for now, you're not a winger, right?
Yeah.
When you have Bellingham in this position, you have to adapt your game, you have to grow your game. There have been times when he's done it. There was a game a couple of weeks ago where he held the ball up. He looked like a number 9 and set it up. I think it was for Joselu's goal or something. Yeah. He's not going to do that all the time. But the reality is, in this system, he's really going to struggle because there's no center forward there.
Yeah.
Bellingham's not actually playing center forward.
Yeah.
Teams were already, putting 2 guys on him and fouling him last year. You can do that even more because there's nobody through the middle to worry about.
Yeah.
Should Carlo be thinking of a tactical change? Should he be maybe considering, weird as it sounds, maybe going with Vini, Joselu, and Valverde in the winger position, and dropping Jude deeper?
Maybe.
Should you tinker with it when you're
top
of the
table?
table?
So they've lost Tchouaméni now for a few weeks with that metatarsal fracture. So is that enough to rethink your plans tactically or not?
Please don't tell me he becomes Camavinga in midfield and then I have to see more of Ferland Mendy.
No, maybe not.
Maybe Fran Garcia.
Yeah, but still, is that enough, the Tchouaméni injury? Because you can slot in Cruz a bit deeper and have still Camavinga, Valverde, and then Bellingham, so you keep the diamond the same way. I don't know.
I just think the diamond doesn't help Vini. Right? We agree on that.
Yeah, it's just not for him.
I don't know. I think over time you can learn and you can adapt. But if you're playing every 3 days, as Real Madrid are, because of the Champions League and whatever else, it's really difficult to learn and adapt in that way.
Still too much even, Gab. 4-4-2 diamond for Vini then to get into his favorite left winger position. You just need to.
Can't do that. No. He does not have the time to do that. And I just think he's such an asset to the club. The club have made such a long-term commitment to him. You have to figure this out somehow.
4-2-3-1 maybe? So then you only have Camavinga and Cruz in the middle. And then Jude can still be a bit of a 10. Vini on the left, Valverde on the right, and then Rodrigo or Joselu at the... But then you obviously lose a little bit of
control in midfield.
Yeah, and what you could do in midfield.
That's okay. Bellingham can run around like a maniac like he used to do.
Yeah, but if you give him more freedom and if you ask him to do that, he's not going to score as many goals.
I'm fine. I don't care who. If I'm Real Madrid, I wouldn't care who scored. He cannot.
Well, no, because if he doesn't score those goals,
well, as long as Vinicius makes up for it.
Yeah, but he would not make up for it, all of them, because just to go back on your point about they don't deserve to win that game. I think everybody was pretty clear. Maybe a draw, maybe, but they lost against Atletico Madrid. They were really poor, and Atletico were outstanding. We've seen them in the Champions League, which they always start slowly in the group stage. I get that. But still, they were not they haven't been great. Against teams like Getafe, Celta Vigo, they won, okay? And that's all you care is about winning, I get that. But they were not very convincing again.
Yeah. This is the point. Bellingham is papering over cracks right
Massively.
now for Real Madrid. And I think Carlo knows that. And I think he's been pretty honest about it. Meanwhile, I want to take
then just to finish on that, then what, you keep the formation the same? Even if clearly it's only working for Jude.
You have to have the courage to change it. I think you have to have the courage to change the formation, to say, I can't have so much pressure.
This is not sustainable, I think.
It's not sustainable. And then you ask yourself, how do I put Vini in the best possible position? I think Vini can still grow as a player and become a better rounded player than he has been. It's been very easy until now. Oh yeah, just have Vini wide on the left,
give him
just
the ball
in space, and right? He's a one-trick pony, and he's going to get older, and he gets fouled all the time. So he needs to evolve. It's difficult, as we said, it's difficult to evolve on the fly. But for now, I think you need to find an alternate plan. Let's go over in the other team's dressing room, Barcelona. Look, I said, if I'm Xavi, I live with it. I've had a rash of injuries. I put in a good performance. Am I happy that I lost a Clasico? No, because nobody better than Xavi probably understands the importance of a Clasico. But equally, you leave with your heads held high.
I think so.
I'm not sure Gundogan felt that way.
Definitely not.
He came out after the game and he said they should have been. Well, you've got the exact quote.
He said in the dressing room he saw some disappointed people and players, but he wanted more anger, more disappointment. He was not happy. He said, "I've got a problem with this." So I don't know how much anger and I don't know how much disappointment would you want them to. Do you want to see Xavi crying? Do you want to see Fermin crying? Would you want them to hit the wall with hit the door with their feet and? I don't know, breaking everything. What does that even mean? Was he not happy with the kind of the mentality in that dressing room after the game to almost accept the defeat? That's not what the feeling I got from the post-match interview that I saw on ESPN or on French television about Ter Stegen looked really, really angry and disappointed. Same with Xavi. So I'm not really sure what he means, but he's been there 5 minutes, right? Really 5 minutes.
I think he's been there 5 minutes, and he says, okay, we need a veteran leader on this team. Frankie de Jong can be that veteran leader, but obviously, he's unavailable.
Yeah.
I'm sure Xavi will be one day.
Yeah, of course.
So, look, I won the treble last year. I've been around Pep Guardiola. I've been around all these very successful teams.
Yeah.
So, this is how maybe he thinks that this is his way of showing leadership. I'm not sure it struck the right tone from the vibes that they were getting. There's nothing wrong in saying, guys, we were beaten in these circumstances. We outplayed them for a long time. This is not Barcelona when we have 5 starters out.
Yeah.
It's a different team. I'm sorry. It just really is.
Yeah.
With all the love in the world for Christensen and Inigo Martinez and even Ferran Torres, it's just different.
Yeah.
Right? So let's accept that. Let's be proud of what the guys who went on the pitch did, most of them. And we're 4 points back. And let's stay at them.
No, last season they lost the first Clasico and they still won La Liga. So it's not because you lose this game in October, even if it's in your own state, in your substitute stadium, that you have to worry or anything like that. Because as you said, at times we saw them a bit underwhelming in the last few weeks. This game was very good tactically, technically, collectively for an hour. And then, after an hour, you can't ask Xavi to follow Bellingham everywhere for 90 minutes. As good as Xavi is, there's a point where you're going to be half a second late than you were in the first hour. And then that's part of the reason. The clearance, that again, we don't have to go back on that first goal, but it's also because at this time, Xavi is probably shattered of having done all the running, all the commanding, all the bossing. And then he lacks a little bit of that kind of lucidity, and then the ball goes on to Bellingham, who scores that goal. But
maybe
there was a lot of positives.
Oriol Romeo sooner?
Yeah, and actually, it's a good point you make me think of that. The second goal. Okay, I've got no issue with Oriol Romeo, who's a La Masia kid, left because he was not good enough to play for Barcelona, especially in those years. Came back to help out, fair enough, but he's not good enough to play for that team, especially not in the Clasico. How? But that's fine, okay? Your job for 5-10 minutes that he was on, something like that, was to don't make a mistake. Don't make a mistake, okay? For him to lose the marking of Jude Bellingham on the second goal like he does, which is like, I'm running with him, I'm running, I stop running, Jude continues running. And yeah, Jude is lucky because nobody could have thought of all people that Modric would miss his first touch and that he would transform into an assist for Bellingham, right? But Romeo, this is unacceptable for him to just lose his player like this, let him run. Even if you think, okay, Modric has the ball or I need to do something. No, he's been on for 5 minutes and he makes that mistake in that moment of the game. It's just not good enough.
I take your point. I do think, though, that I think Oriol Romeo will be needed in a big way the rest of the way this season, even with other people. I don't need to see Xavi in that role. I don't like Gundogan in that role. Who knows when Frankie's coming back? All these things together to me suggest that, I think, he can be angry for that. Yeah. That's fair enough. But to me, one of the most fascinating things, and I'll just leave you with this about Xavi, hasn't been, with all due respect to the work he did in Qatar, he has not been in this environment as a decision maker for very long. Yeah. And the way he's reinvented on the fly these tactical formations that kind of work, I think is hugely impressive. And I'll be really curious to see how he puts all the pieces together when everybody's fit again.